All right, nerds, this is That Just Happened. This is the review show for lazy people, and the topic this week is Tron-iosa. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so like I said, reviews for lazy people. This is, I'm selling myself short with that tagline a little bit, but I can't digest things immediately like some of the larger channels, like all of the larger channels who cover this kind of information can. So we get to it when we get to it. All right. This week we got to something that was fairly new and on topic, and that is Furiosa. The other thing that we're talking about this week is Tron. I don't know if you could really decipher my expert wordplay or not, but there it is. So yeah, let's talk real quick about Furiosa, and then we'll talk real quick about Tron. It's going to be a short That Just Happened episode. So Furiosa, for those that don't know, is the new Mad Max movie. It is a prequel to the last Mad Max movie, Fury Road. Furiosa for that movie is played by Charlize Theron. For this movie, she's played by Anya Taylor-Joy because it's an origin story. Honestly, if you like Mad Max, I don't see why you wouldn't dig this. I've never been a huge Mad Max fan. I watched Thunderdome as a kid, so I'm a little more partial to Thunderdome than the rest of the franchise, but it's still interesting, post-apocalyptic stuff, even though the apocalypse looks very different from movie to movie. The only really consistency that we get with this franchise is from Fury Road to Furiosa. So that's pretty interesting to put it into that perspective, which I hadn't until just now. And there's a lot of people who are rejoicing in this because it's the woke stuff is not doing well. Furiosa is not doing super well in theaters. And I think, honestly, part of that is because it hasn't been marketed super well. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of things that have commercials on them these days, but those that I do, I haven't really seen a whole lot of Furiosa marketing. Not nearly as much as like when Dune came out, or even the Fury Road movie. When Fury Road came out, it was kind of all over TV. So I don't know, it just feels like this one didn't get marketed as well. There could be a number of other reasons, but I don't necessarily think it's because of the girl boss nature of this or because of the woke nature of this. I think it's a little bit because people don't understand what this is. So the only people who are really going to see it are the Mad Max fans. And I don't think there's a whole lot of Mad Max fans out there, at least not enough to drive the box office to the numbers that they were expecting necessarily. So I think it's more that and less of the story quality, because it's a George Miller movie. There doesn't necessarily need to be anything else said about that. George Miller has a pretty distinctive style, especially if you've seen Beyond Thunderdome, and I can't remember. That was the third one, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the third one, I'm pretty sure. It's been so long since I've really cared about Mad Max. But then Fury Road, like you watch those movies and like it's eye candy. That is all this is. And Furiosa is one of the better looking of these movies, I think. I think Fury Road looks fantastic. Just definite style all over the place, and Furiosa is a continuation of that. It could also, though, be, and again, just kind of spitballing here, it could also be that because up till now, each movie was fairly distinctive unto itself, and then now we have one that feels like another one. That could be part of it as well, I would venture, but I don't know how strong of an argument that is. But there's nothing crazy in here to really dislike. You don't get, there's a little bit of a Mary Sue element to the character of Furiosa, just because she comes from the green place, which has all of these strong female figures, and she's very young when she gets kidnapped. But then she also just is inherently a strong female figure. I feel like that's about as quote unquote woke as this gets. The rest of it is her going through trials and tribulations in order to get to the position of power that she's in when we see her in the Fury Road movie. And that is kind of the antithesis to what a Mary Sue is by definition, because a Mary Sue, you don't see them get the power. They don't go through struggle. They don't go through trials. They just are all powerful. See Rey in the Star Wars movies. So to say this is anything like that, I feel like is somebody who hasn't seen the movie or is just trying to undermine because they know that other people are not seeing this movie. But yeah, this was a pretty decent recommend. Again, not a big Mad Max fan. My girlfriend is. She loved it. She thought it was fantastic. I think she's kind of more the target demographic for this as well, which again kind of leads a little bit into the girl boss element of it, but that's not the kind of girl she is, so she's not really drawn to that kind of entertainment. She just likes Mad Max, and this is a great Mad Max movie, so there you go. But then the other one is Tron Legacy is on Disney Plus because it's a Disney movie, and we are in a place where we can watch, because I don't generally have Disney Plus unless I'm piggybacking off somebody else, but watched Tron Legacy, and we haven't talked about it on the channel because it came out before I started the channel, and then hasn't really been in the conversation until kind of recently with the Jared Leto third Tron movie that's in the works right now. So we've been talking about that a little bit, but I haven't watched Legacy in some time. I listen to the soundtrack, though, with some regularity, just because I love Daft Punk. If you love like cyberpunk, if you love the synthwave stuff, if you love just really good electronic music, then you probably are very intimately familiar with the soundtrack to this movie as well. But the movie, I hadn't seen it in so long, I forgot how much fun it was. Jeff Bridges is just always a win. I cannot think of a movie I've seen him in that I haven't, at the very least, enjoyed his performance. R.I.P.D. would be the closest I think I could come to a movie that I didn't like that he was in, but even then, like, it's popcorn fodder. It's just generally fun nonsense, so you can't really fault him for wanting to do something like that. But Tron is not one of those movies that's kind of so bad it's good. It's definitely not great. It's not an all-time great nerd movie or anything like that. It is a very nerdy movie in its broad strokes. I think if you get too far into the minutia of the things that are being said, like early on in the movie, they're talking about the structure of a computer, and like, again, if you're a big nerd, then you already know that they're talking nonsense, but general public who they're targeting these movies towards don't know that. So you have to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit, especially if you are on the more nerdy side of life. And because I definitely cringed just a little bit, and then I realized remembered what I was watching, and was like, oh yeah, this is just popcorn fun. And once you get that into your head, that's exactly what this is. It's just a hell of a lot of fun. It's really cool to see all the pretty lights and listen to the great, amazing soundtrack. But yeah, Tron Legacy is a thing that just happened for me. Coming up, let's move to things that are going to happening soon. Coming up, we have, I think, the next big event as far as like things that we must participate in on time is going to be Deadpool. Nothing really on the books between now and next week, aside from catching up on the Interview with the Vampire series, because I know we talked about that in the last That Just Happened episode, and I haven't done that yet, but it will happen, I promise. So we're catching up on the Interview with the Vampire, and that's really the only thing slated to actually happen for review sake until next week. Yeah. So what's happening for you, nerds? Let's have that conversation. What are you enjoying right now? Is there a series you're just anxious to get into the next episode for? Is there something you watched recently that maybe has been out for a while, but you just watched it for the first time? Let's have that conversation. I think that's an incredibly interesting conversation to have in the right circumstance. So let's do that. Let's do all the things. That is the end of the episode, though. So thank you very much, nerds, for joining. Let me know what you're into. I'll let you know what I'm into, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here, and that just happened.